All right, so you're looking to up your safety game, right? Especially if you're dealing with federal contracts. Well, stick with us because today we're doing a deep dive into something that can get pretty confusing.
Yeah, it can definitely be a bit of a maze navigating all these regulations.
Exactly. And that's why we're here, presented by Safety One Source, by the way, to break down how OSHA Regulation 1926.15 plays with the Service Contract Act and the Walsh-Healey Public Contracts Act.
Yeah, all these acts trying to keep track, it can make your head spin, right?
Absolutely. So our mission today, clarity. We're going to figure out how they all work together, especially when it comes to OSHA's construction rules and how those apply to service and supply contracts. So let's jump right in.
Sounds good to me.
So first up, the Service Contract Act, the SCA.
You got it. And this one's super important for anyone working with, well, federal service contracts. The name kind of gives it away, huh?
Makes sense. So let's lay it out. What exactly does the SCA cover?
So think about it like this. If you've got a federal contract that's over $2,500, and the main thing it's about is providing services through what they call service employees, that's where the SCA comes into play. And you know what's interesting? It has its own set of safety rules.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. They're right there in 29 CFR Part 1925.
Exactly. But, and this is key for what we're talking about today, the SCA specifically says it doesn't cover contracts for construction, alteration, and/or repair. That even includes things like painting and decorating public buildings or public works. It's all spelled out.
Wow, so specific.
Yeah, they wanted to be clear about it, and it makes sense, to avoid any confusion or overlap with OSHA. You don't want to have two sets of rules trying to govern the same thing.
Definitely not. That would just be a mess. So if we take an example like a contract to build a brand new veterans hospital, the SCA wouldn't cover the actual construction, would it?
You got it. The actual building part. That falls under OSHA's construction safety standards, especially Part 1926. Now, are you ready to switch gears for a minute?
Bring it on. What's next?
Okay, let's talk about the Walsh-Healey Public Contracts Act, the WHCA. This one comes into play if your work involves supplying, goods to the federal government.
Gotcha. So the WHCA that covers federal contracts over $10,000 for making or providing materials, supplies, stuff like that, right?
Precisely. And just like the SCA, the WHCA wants to make sure working conditions are safe. These contracts actually require that any workplace involved in making those goods, they can't be unsanitary or hazardous or dangerous. You can find those rules in 41 CFR Part 5204 if you're interested.
Always good to know where to find the details.
Yeah.
But here's a question. Let's say there's a contract to supply those prefabricated structures, the ones they just kind of put together on site. If there's some assembly involved, does that mean OSHA 1926 steps in?
Yeah, that is a fantastic question. You're really thinking this through. While the WHCA's rules don't specifically talk about construction activities, the whole idea of needing a safe workplace that still applies to any assembly work being done under a WHCA contract. However, those super specific standards you find in OSHA 1926, the ones you'd see on a big construction site, those aren't directly required by the WHCA itself. It's a bit of a gray area, you could say. Oh, and one more important detail, the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act. It doesn't apply to work covered by the WHCA.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So basically, for everyone listening, when we're talking about federal contracts, we need to see construction, services, and supply as kind of separate things, each with their own safety rules, right?
Exactly. It's all about knowing which rule book to follow depending on the type of work being done. Construction, service, supply, they each have their own primary safety oversight. And when we're specifically talking about construction activities on a federal contract, OSHA 1926 is the main guide.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So for all our safety folks out there who deal with federal contracts, understanding these differences isn't just some boring legal stuff. It's really important. I mean, it helps you figure out which rules apply where, and that keeps everyone safer.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And if you think about the bigger picture, knowing these legal boundaries really helps ensure you're using the right safety procedures. It's about avoiding the trap of assuming one set of rules covers every single thing on a federal project.
And that could lead to some serious trouble.
Exactly. And it makes you think, doesn't it? How confident are you that you can tell what the main purpose of a federal contract is and then make sure your safety approach matches up? Something to think about, right?
It really is. So to wrap up, the takeaway is this: OSHA 1926 for construction, SCA for services, and WHCA for supply and manufacturing, all under the big umbrella of federal contracting. Hopefully, this deep dive has helped clear things up a bit.
I hope so too. It's all about staying informed and working safely.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
See you next time.